Hi, everyone, and welcome to Regan Real Reviews. My name is Kathleen Regan. I am a writer and actor, and I watch a lot of movies and a lot of TV, and I just put my reviews out there for you. So comment below if you agree or disagree on any of them. Today, I want to do a sort of tribute, I hate using that word, but to Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner. Obviously, Rob Reiner, very big in the entertainment industry. Also, both of them very big in political activism. Rob Reiner, you may know some of his films, you may not, but he was so eclectic in the films that he directed and produced. He produced Seinfeld, all the episodes of Seinfeld, which is, obviously a huge deal. He did movies like rom-coms like When Harry Met Sally, American President, The Princess Bride is one of his, Miss Congeniality, The Green Mile. I could go on. Michael Clayton was another one of his. He also did one just recently, in the last couple years, a documentary biography about Albert Brooks with Albert Brooks called Albert Brooks Defending My Life, which is one of Albert Brooks's breakout movies. Albert Brooks, if you don't know him, look him up. He's a fantastic comedic actor. So Rob Reiner has done a slew of movies that you should watch. And he also has a numerous amount of accolades, right? Academy Awards, Golden Globe, Emmys, BAFTAs. He is a star in the Hollywood Hall of Fame, Walk of Fame out there. In 1999, he received a huge award called the Chaplin Gala Tribute at the Lincoln Center a gala. In 2014, he had three of his films inducted into the National Film Registry, so that's pretty big. Political activism, very big on the liberal politics and lobbying. He actually lobbied for LGBTQ rights, early childhood rights. He also later on with his wife founded the American Foundation for Equal Rights. And why that's important is because they were huge in overturning the California anti-same-sex marriage law. Why that's important? Because as we all know, that went up the chain, and that was, I think, and a lot of other people think, sort of the impetus for overturning it nationally. So it allowed for same-sex marriage. So huge, huge. Rob Reiner was married briefly to Penny Marshall, if you don't remember her. Laverne from Laverne and Shirley, fantastic actor in her own right. He was married in 1971. He actually adopted her daughter from a previous marriage. They divorced in 1981. He also founded in 1987 Castle Rock Entertainment. The story goes that Rob was, kind of tired of the big studio money, directing what you do to get that money type of thing. So he wanted to create an entertainment company studio that really allowed for creative freedom for individuals. He said this was not for the purpose of making money, but just making good films or just making films or messages that you want to get out there. And sure, there were some movies that flopped commercially, but that was okay, right? 2002, actually, Warner Brothers, after a string of bombs, right, films that didn't work, that weren't commercially success with Castle Rock, and Warner Brothers sort of helped fund Castle Rock, they said, no, we can't get behind this message of making great film, just making film for the sense of, purpose. We need our money. So they cut him off. So it actually closed. Castle Rock closed in 2020. They were signed a deal with Warner Brothers, and Castle Rock Entertainment was brought back in 2020 with both Rob and his new wife, new or recent wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, as president and co-president. Michelle Singer Reiner, I didn't know much about her, I have to admit. She wasn't, to me, someone in the forefront, in the limelight. But it was very interesting to get to know her. Her mother was a Holocaust survivor. She was a photographer. She has two sisters. She actually was a photographer on the film Misery, and she was also the photographer on When Harry Met Sally, which is when she met Rob Reiner. Real quick, speaking of Misery, which is a Stephen King, based on Stephen King novel or story. Castle Rock Entertainment, the name Castle Rock, actually comes from a fictitious town that was used in a lot of Stephen King's novels, which I believe also used in Misery. So Rob Reiner adopted that as the name. Michelle Reiner was what Rob Reiner said was a force of advocacy. She was on top of all of the great work that I mentioned earlier with Rob Reiner, with the activism, early childhood, LGBTQ, the same-sex marriage, everything like that. She also later on in life, just recently, really started to work on the Innocence Project, which is bringing to light and hopefully overturning those that are in prison wrongly on that are innocent. So she was a force in her own right, and the world will miss them greatly. So I want to highlight two of my, warm and fuzzy great movies that I like of Rob Reiner's. And these are movies that, when I'm in a sad mood or just in a funk, I go to these movies just to cheer me up. As a matter of fact, one of my friends, even, knowing that I was in a funk, turned on one of the movies and was like, see? And it did bring me out of my mood. The first one is The American President. Silly, fun movie. 1995. It was written by Aaron Sorkin. So, you can imagine the quips and the back and forth, and the language is amazing. It stars Michael Douglas as the president, the American president. It stars Annette Bening as the love interest or the lobbyist. Martin Sheen actually was the chief of staff in this. So, the right-hand person of Michael Douglas, the president, which obviously we know later on Michael Sheen plays the president in The West Wing, also written by Aaron Sorkin. Michael J. Fox has a really important role in this as well. And at this time, I believe he was being treated by Parkinson's, but no one sort of knew at this time. This was obviously based on the American president. Rob Reiner was activism, like we said, and very close to Bill Clinton, who was in office at this time. He was allowed to walk around one day, kind of trailing or shadowing Bill Clinton, and the production team or whoever from the production team or creators actually were allowed 5 times within the White House to sort of get the lay of the land and the, what's going on and where are things and stuff. There, a lot of unused scenes or unused dialogue was then moved to the West Wing later on. There is a part in here where the president says to his opponent, who's really actively like, oh, this president's terrible, get him out, get him out. There's a famous line in here, Michael Douglas, and I'm going to read it, says, you want a character debate, Bob? You better stick with me, because Sidney Allen Wade is way out of your league. So it was interesting because Ted Cruz famously used, kind of paraphrased, but pretty much used straight from the movies, many lines in his campaigning and subsequently. That was one of the lines that Ted Cruz used. There were many others. From The Princess Bride was one of his favorites as well. This film, American President, was also inducted into the American Film Institute as one of the top 100 films in America. So it's The American President. Check it out, 1995. Now, When Harry Met Sally. Yeah, people say this, oh, it's such a great movie, blah, blah, blah. But like, I am a fanatic. Like, you don't want to watch this film with me because I will say every line, right? Proudly say every single line in this film. I love this film. 1989. 1999 was a pivotal year for me personally. So this was just one of those films I went to kind of feel warm and fuzzy. It is written by Nora Ephron. Nora Ephron, rest in peace, but her writing is beyond anyone else's. Her comedic writing, her sense of female-male relationships and how you write about that and the realism, but also entertaining. She was a force to be reckoned with as well. There was some uncredited work or writing work that Rob Reiner did on this as well. Barry Sonnenfeld was the cinematographer or the DP, whatever you want to call it. He is a powerhouse. Look him up too. Watch his movies. You won't be upset. This stars Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan as the two leads. Also, Carrie Fisher and Bruno Kirby are sort of, they're both of those like best friends as well. The lead characters, Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, or Harry and Sally, were really based on Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron. Not that they ended up together, but their personalities and their characteristics were really themselves. Rob Reiner once said, "You know how women have a base of makeup? I have a base of depression. Sometimes I sink below it, and sometimes I rise above it." And if you know When Harry Met Sally, Harry is a depressive guy. One of his quotes, after he mentions something, he says, "That, my friend, is a dark side." So, Rob Reiner's daughter, Tracy, actually has a small role in this as well. And we all know, or hopefully a lot of us know, that his mother, Estelle, was the woman in the infamous scene of the orgasm in the deli, which was Kat's Deli in New York. The woman that says, "I'll have what she's having." That was Rob Reiner's mother. And legend goes that Rob Reiner was trying to sort of show everyone, or show Sally, what he was envisioning for this scene, like the orgasm scene. And Meg Ryan had a lot of impact or input into that as well. So Rob Reiner faked an orgasm in front of his mother. So that was interesting. This was actually in 2022, this movie was selected for the National Film Registry for a very specific reason, because they deemed it culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. So what was so significant about a rom-com? Let me just tell you, they said before sort of Harry Met Sally, a lot of the romantic comedies, or a lot of the romances where, one person was bullying the other, or there was this hatred between the two of them, and like, I can't stand them, and then all of a sudden you're in love with them. There was a misunderstanding, that contrived misunderstanding that broke them apart or couldn't get them together and all that stuff. This film had none of that. Okay. This film were two people that the only thing standing in their way to being happy or being with each other, ends up, is their own neuroses. That was it, really. It talked about a development of a friendship over years and years and years, that when you're older, you realize, oh my God, this person I can tell everything to. This was a fantastic movie. Again, it's one of my go-tos. And if you haven't seen it in a while, or haven't seen it ever, check it out. When Harry Met Sally, 1989. One other thing I want to mention, and I sort of peppered it in here. If you see a film that you really like, right? Oh my gosh, this is a really good film. Look up the director. Look up the producer. Look up the cinematographer if you like the look of a film. Look them up. And where do I look them up, you say? IMDb, the Internet Movie Database. IMDb. Add that app to your phone, look it up online. You can look up Rob Reiner, and it tells you all his credits, every single thing he's done. You can click on a film that he's done and figure out what's it about, who's the cast. Look up those movies. A lot of young filmmakers out there that have a page on IMDb and just want people to watch, not for the sake of huge money, just because they want people to be entertained and to love what they do and just show their work. So, Rob Reiner, Michelle Reiner, truly missed. And thank you. Thank you for watching Regan Real Reviews.